No, I think that this issue of the booths has been in the works for a while. We've had to deal with this thing for a while, and all we were doing was that we were kicking the can down the road. We were procrastinating. We were, sort of pushing the issue farther down the road, and we, as a people, we just didn't want to deal with it. But we knew that there was a problem. And also, you must understand, guys, that in order to fully comprehend the booth problem, you have to understand the genesis of it. The booths came about because of the PF's idea that the PF could give their cadres unfettered, unregulated access to public money. To every PF cadre that ran a certain area. For them, it was all about getting as many booths on the street as possible, because the more booths, the more money. And President Lungu's administration, along with Davis Mwila's secretariat, I know this because I was very close to the guys that ran the booths here. I could see what they did. We were constantly arguing about that, because one of the things they used to do is that they would put booths on the road, not on the sidewalk, but on the road. And I would always say to Mouquet, there was a guy named Mouquet, he was the one that used to run the booths here. I'd say to him, you're hampering the functionality of the street. The street is not working because you're putting booths on the road. His response to me was, and this was always his response. His response was, no, well, this is youth empowerment. But how is it youth empowerment when the money that they were getting was going into their pockets? Remember, guys, each booth cost 5,000 kwacha to install, not to build. Okay, because this is another lie that the booth operators are telling the public. They're saying the booths are 5,000 kwacha to build. That's not true. The booths were 5,000 kwacha for you to be allowed by a cadre to put the booth on the side of the street. You had to pay the cadre 5,000 kwacha, number one. Number two, every month, Chila booth, each booth, you had to pay 250 kwacha to the cadre. So all of that money was being collected by the cadre. So to answer your question, the council didn't jump the gun. This was a growing problem, And if you don't have a system that regulates this problem, you're going to run into very, very big problems. Let me explain something. On the street, there's nothing like a plan. Our people don't understand that. There's nothing like a quorum. You don't sit with people on the street and say, okay, they don't hear that. Because when let me tell you, and I've seen this happen over and over again, especially when they come in numbers. If you, as a leader, a community leader, civic leader, if you address 300 people, for example, you're going to address 300 booth operators. You call a meeting and then you say to them, Vane, we've got a problem. The city's dirty, so we're going to remove the booths. But this is the plan we have for you. We're going to space out the booths. Each road is going to have a quota. The booths that you install have to be standard issued by the service provider. You cannot place a booth on a sidewalk. You cannot obstruct traffic. You cannot obstruct foot traffic. The booths have to be strategically placed. When you give them that plan, and there are 300 of them, guess what? All of them will rise and say, we don't want that. Forget. So it is disingenuous to think that our people reason, especially on the street. On the street, there's nothing like reasoning Pa street kulanda tibane tulechi defi. You like it, you don't like it, this is the direction we're going. That's the only way it works, especially within the Zambian context. Because you see, don't forget, we're coming from a culture where everything is no you see, that is manipulative. And it also bleeds into the issue of street vending, because everything is interconnected. If you say you want a clean city, but you maintain street vendors, you're not doing anything. Vendors belong in the markets where they have access to water, they have access to shelter, access to toilets, access to participating in the economy by paying their fair share, their rent and their stipend. But if you talk to our people like you're speaking to them like you want to negotiate, they will run you over using numbers. You are just one civil servant. You are just one civic leader. They are 500 of them. Your desire, your plan is not going to override their plan. So therefore, you have to use your position and your power to make sure that they go in the right direction. That's a very good question, and the answer is very simple. Two things. Number one, you will be interested to know that over 90% of street vendors on Lumumba Road in this area, in the CBD market, more than 90% of them already have stands within the markets. Whether it's City Market, Lumumba Road Market, BH, whichever market, most of them, more than 90% of them already have stands in the market. This is what they do. They rent out their stands, okay, to a foreigner or anybody else. Because remember, you'll be shocked. Do you know how much money it costs to rent a stand in City Market, for example? Let me ask you, how much money do you think it costs to rent a stand in City Market? Every day, 3 kwacha per day. Every day, 3 kwacha per day. Or you can decide, you can say, okay, I'll be paying you 3 kwacha times 30 days, and you pay that. But the cost is 3 kwacha per day. Now, when you get your stand, you as the vendor, you only pay 3 kwacha per day. But when you leave your stand, you rent it out to someone, you say to the person you're renting out to, you are paying 2 pin per month or 1.5 per month. And then you, as the vendor, Wayapa Street, Mukushapa Street. So it's double tomela. There's nothing wrong with entrepreneurship, but there's everything wrong with cheating the system to take advantage of the system. And what I've told you, you will never hear, because this is something that they don't want the public to know this. But this is the truth. And I know this because I've been here for 33 years. Now, Abantu Bandi, I know them more. In and out, A up to Z. Anyway, they also know that they know what I stand for. They know that I don't like street vending. Even though I love them, I interact with them, and I constantly tell them the safest place for you to be is in the markets. On Lumumba Road is such a dangerous place to be. Very important. Number one, they have to have a comprehensive approach, meaning when they start doing this exercise, they shouldn't do it 50%, 80%, 95%. They should do it 100%. meaning they should remove all the booths. Okay, let's start from there. They should not be caught in a situation where they remove some in some areas, they don't shop, because our people will rise and say, if so it has to be comprehensive, number one. Number two, the places that Lusaka City Council has removed booths, they have to make sure that they fix those places. Put new pavers, new tiles, because this is what will happen. If you just remove booths and you leave the spot empty, guess what's going to happen? You're going to replace booths with vendors now. The spots that used to occupy the booths, because you leave them unattended, street vendors will come there, or sometimes they'll bring a bus station there. So it has to be done comprehensively, number one. Number two, you now have to, in my view, this is my opinion, because the only solution to this problem is quotas. Quotas meaning a limited number. For instance, here on Simon Mwewa Lane, this is an example, okay? Simon Mwewa Lane, you must, as the local authority, you must say, okay, this street can only have 5 booths. And the 5 booths have to be placed strategically with the approval and the guidance of the council. The booths have to be standard issue, from the service provider. In other words, if it's MTN, the booth has to come from MTN. You know those nice, neat booths that they create, that they manufacture? Yes, those pretty nice ones. An agent cannot go kuchihodia, ashokerera booth, ashokerera na specs yake, na dimensions yake, abwelesa chishara mchiteni pakati pa town, na afaka pa Rumumba Road or pa Cairo Road, abwelesa chirata pa japa. No, it has to be standard issue, okay, by the service provider. And let's say if you put 5 booths along a certain street, the booths have to be evenly spaced, strategically spaced. The booths cannot obstruct traffic. They cannot obstruct someone's building, because this is very indicative. If you come to Lumumba Road, most of the booths, you find them literally in front of someone's shop, building. And it's blocking someone's building. In the PF, let me tell you, and I know you guys you might know this, during the PF, it was very common for booths to be installed. Wabuka, I'm down, wasangve booth in front of your building. When you complain and say, but why are you putting this booth in front of my shop? Kadas would come. Kadas. And unfortunately, most of the people that own buildings within the CBD, not all, but most of them are Indian, Zambians of Indian origin. These guys who are Zambian of Indian origin, Kadas used to say to them, besides, you're not even a black Zambian. So what? So what if we put our booth in front? That was the attitude. So as a building owner, you couldn't say anything. It's the same with street vendors. Street vendors now, they block people's shops. They block the access to people. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talk. You know why they don't talk about that? Because the people who own buildings are in the minority. The people who sell on the streets are in the majority. But they don't belong on the street. They belong in the markets where everybody wins. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Power FM. Bye.